going to start in a lying down position. If you don't want to be lying down this morning, you can start in a chair. So whatever you want to do, either making yourself onto the ground or going to sit in a chair. Okay, so whichever orientation you decide, we want to make sure that first of all we're arriving into a neutral spine. So making sure that you can feel length along the back of your neck, and if you're on the ground it might be that you have a little rock from side to side, sort of lifting your shoulders, re-landing so that you can really feel the back of your body connecting with the ground. If you're in your chair to begin, you can use the back of your chair to support you, just as we start from this position of stillness. If you want to use that support of the chair, then please do. And then maybe taking a sigh and closing your eyes or softening your gaze. So there might still be some movement or restlessness in your body, and maybe you aren't ready to come to stillness yet. So let yourself move through that, whether it's a little shake off, whether it's a squeeze of the hands or adding tension, so then you can really feel that release as you consciously soften your muscles. And it may take a few times, so make sure that you're being patient with yourself. Okay. So we are starting a new theme, which I'm going to layer in over the next few weeks. So we're going to keep it quite simple today, and we're going to start with the visualization for today's practice. So first of all, bringing your awareness to this kind of external awareness. So the physical sensations that you have of the way that your body's positioned. Noticing what is in your body as you arrive today. So as you notice that, we're then going to start to gradually come a bit deeper. So now starting to feel your breath and how that also links with a bit of movement in your body, different sensations. And just to bring that awareness into the flow of your breath, softening into the muscles around your abdomen so that you can encourage that flow of air to be as easeful as possible. Checking in with how you feel within this morning. So maybe some feelings are already present on arrival. So we're noticing what that might be, and then bring yourself back into your body and your breath. And now we're going to link our visualization. So take your awareness to your left hand, and it might be helpful for you to kind of move that hand to really take your mind's eye there. And then start to follow your awareness up your left arm until it arrives at your shoulder. And then it's going to move across your chest, arriving at your center. Then we're going to take the awareness to the right hand, drawing that awareness up your arm to your shoulder, moving across your chest, arriving at your center. And we're going to alternate that from one side to the other. And then linking it with your breath. So as you breathe in, we're drawing the breath up your arm, breathing out as you move it across to land at your center. Breathing in as you switch to the other arm, breathing out as you land at your center. So just taking a few more breaths, connecting it to that visualization. Okay. So bringing in our first bit of movement. If you're on the ground and your legs are out straight, taking a bend in your knees first of all, and then hugging your knees in towards your chest. So however that usually looks for you. Maybe it's one knee at a time, maybe it's both, maybe you have a little rocking movement. And if you're in your chair, you can either take that one knee at a time, or you can come into more of a forward fold motion. So whichever you choose, it doesn't matter. We've still got this starting to introduce some flexion into the spine, some space around the lumbar spine. And then releasing your feet to the ground if you are on the ground. And if you're in the chair, we are actually going to do a standing variation. So we're going to come into bridge pose. First of all, just to start to bring a bit of space, openness, kind of uplifting sensations. So a recheck-in with the back of your neck being long, placing your feet so that they are in a position of stability and you know that they can support you as you just prepare to lift the weight of your body. So with your hands connected to the ground, arms running alongside you. As you breathe out, take your awareness to the back of your body. And then on that in-breath, pushing your feet to encourage your pelvis to lift. As you breathe out, we're lowering back down. So as you repeat this, breathing in on the lift and breathing out on the lower, then you might want to change the position of your feet. So for some of us, it might feel better to have your feet wider, maybe further away from you, whatever feels the most supportive for you. So if we are taking the practice in a chair, we're going to come to a standing position. You can hold on to the chair if you like. And you can either keep your feet roughly hip width and keep both feet firmly connected to the ground. And we're just going to really focus that onto the upper part of the body. So breathing in as you bring this extension, this lift into your chest, you're opening your arms out to the side. You can lift them if you like, and then returning back to neutral. So we're not rounding, we're just working with this opening, this extension, and then returning. So it might feel like a really small movement and maybe you feel like you're not doing much, but we are still coming into that extension. If you want to put a slightly different variation onto that standing one, you can step 1 foot forwards, step into that front foot as you lift the heel of the back foot. So there's a little bit of balance, but it might just bring a little more extension from your pelvis. So because we've got one leg back, you might feel more of this opening movement and then return. So you can do a few on one side as you lift the heel, opening your arms, landing the heel as you lower. So if you do a few on one side and a few on the other, if you're taking this option, those of you that are on the mats, the next time you land onto the ground, taking a little pause. Okay, if you are standing and you've done a few on the other side as well, just take your time wherever you are. So we're going to repeat that again, but starting to take a little bit more from the standing variation there. If you're lying down, bringing your hands to rest onto your body. Okay, so this time as you bring your pelvis up, we're going to open the arms out to the side. And then as you lower, gather your hands back to land onto your body until the back of your body lands on the ground. So breathing in as we open, breathing out as we gather in. So we're just pivoting on the elbows. We are adding in this opening movement of the arms, because for some of us, it might just add to that kind of uplifting feeling. So when we're in this standing option, we're already doing this opening. So just choosing whichever option's right for you. If you did take the standing option with your feet together and you want to give it a try with coming onto one foot, feeling that extension all the way up across the opposite hip. Okay, we're just going to take 2 more wherever you're up to. And then bringing yourself back to that neutral position. If you are standing, bringing yourself back to sit in your chair. But we're going to establish more of that supported position yourself now. So rather than using the back of the chair, we're going to shuffle forwards, root your sitting bones, spine nice and long, soften your shoulders. And if you're on the ground, just coming back to your constructed rest. Take a little pause. Okay, so now more of a focus around our hips. We are going to start with our right leg. So if you're on the ground, we're going to lift that right leg and we're going to keep a 90-ish degree angle in your hip and in your knee. Okay, so if you're on the chair, option for you to lift the foot off the ground, or excuse me, or you can lift the heel and keep the toes on the ground. Okay, so we're going to start with some internal rotation. So the right knee is coming in towards the left knee, and the outer edge of the right foot is as if it's trying to swing up towards the head. And then we're going to bring the foot ahead, and then we're going to externally rotate the knee. So you're trying to bring that inside of the foot up as much as you can, really trying to engage into your hips, and then bring the foot back ahead. We're just going to move in and out of this internal and external rotation, but really trying to get to that full range, as much maximum effort as you can. And it's actually harder to do it in the chair, so that's why I chose the lying down position to begin, because the relationship of gravity to your body in this way makes your leg feel heavier. So you can keep the toes connected to the ground and really focus on that inward motion here and that outward motion, but you can also have that little play around with lifting, as long as that feels okay for you this morning. So we're just going to take one more in and out on that leg. Make sure you're not holding your breath, especially if you're doing this in the chair. And then we're going to lower that foot onto the ground. Okay, so just notice how that leg feels, particularly around your hip. And then we're going to come to the other side. So now lifting your left leg. So we've got that rough 90-90. And then we're going to start with that internal rotation. So the knee's coming in, outer edge of the foot's coming out. Really trying to get as much push as you can. And then going into that external rotation, trying to push the inside of that foot up as much as you can as you take the knee out. I'm just going to move through, go into that internal. And as you can see, I don't have quite a lot of range on this side. So if you find that, don't worry. Just work with what you've got, even if it doesn't feel like a lot. Okay, so we're just going to take one more on each side. And then landing that foot onto the ground. So now noticing how that left leg feels, how the left hip feels. Okay, so now we want to come a little bit more into the side body. If you're in the chair, you can do it in the chair if you like, or you can come back up to standing. And if you're on the ground, we're going to come over onto the left side of your body. So as you come over onto the left side of your body, and then if you're in the chair, staying in your chair or coming up to standing. If you're on the ground, taking a bend in your left arm, resting your head onto your arm, and we've got a bend in both knees. Okay, so I'm going to extend that top leg out straight. I think I've done this the wrong way around, haven't I? Top leg, no, that should be fine. So the top leg's out straight. And you can rest the foot on the ground if you like, but we're just going to have a reach into the heel. So it might be lifted a little bit. And then we're going to lift that top arm overhead. So we're lying on the left side. We've got the right leg out straight. The right arm's going to lift over as much as you can. And we're going to keep that arm straight. So maybe it's a little higher. Maybe it's close to the ground. Doesn't matter where, as long as you can reach into that fingertips. And you notice that my shoulders come up to my ear. And that's okay. We want to try and make ourselves as long as we can on this side. So reach into your foot, reach into your toes, into your fingers. Make sure you're not holding your breath as we pause here. So if you're in the chair, we're crossing the ankle, we're reaching over. And if you're standing, exactly the same. Okay. So then lowering that arm, lowering the foot. Another option as well if you are standing. If you want to get more of that reach into the heel, you can rest your hand onto the chair into that standing leg, whichever leg that that top leg that you're lifting and reaching. So you can see if that one feels a bit more like a reach on that side. Okay, I'm going to keep that there actually. So we're going to take a few more of those, connecting it to your breath. So this time we're going to extend your leg and arm at the same time. We're connecting that to the in-breath, breathing out as you lower. So expanding both limbs as you breathe in, breathing out as you bring them back. I'm just going to do that on this side for this one. So reaching and return. Feeling that space along the right side of your body. And we'll just take a couple more on this side. Okay. When you bring both of those limbs to re-land, we're going to come onto the back of your body if you're on the ground, and just into your neutral position if you're in your chair or standing. And just notice how both sides of your body feel. Okay, coming over onto the right side of your body. Bending your elbows so that you can rest your head. A bend in both knees. And we're going to start with that extend and hold for the first few breaths. So extending your top left leg out straight, and then we're going to lift that left arm over wherever is good for you, and then reaching into your fingertips, pushing into your heel, trying to make yourself as long as you can on that side. Make sure you're not holding your breath. And then we're going to lower those limbs. Okay, so now linking that to your breath. As you breathe in, we're expanding both limbs out, and as you breathe out, we're bringing them both back. Breathing in as you feel that reach in both directions. Breathing out as you lower. So just taking a few more as you follow your breath. And then we're going to make that the last one. So when you lower, bringing yourself back into constructed rest onto the back of your body. And if you're standing, taking a seat. Okay, so we're going to gradually bring ourselves to a tabletop position. So if you're lying down, it might be that you take a sort of rock and roll motion to come up, or maybe coming over to one side first of all. And then gradually bringing yourself to a tabletop position. So as always, choosing whatever feels right for you this morning. Maybe you want to have your forearms resting onto a chair or a bolster. You can have your hands resting on. So it doesn't matter where, whichever height, as long as you've got a neutral spine. Okay, so you're going to take a few rounds of cat-cow. If you're in the chair, you can come to standing and rest onto the back of your chair, or you can do it from a seated position. So as you take an out breath, we're going to start to round the spine, taking the head down to look towards the legs, feeling space between the back of the shoulders. And then as you breathe in, lengthening your spine, moving through neutral, extending as you gently soften around your belly, broadening across your chest. Breathing out as you move through that flexion, breathing in as you open. Exactly the same if we are on the ground. Rounding through your cat, and then extending, gently lowering the belly. Okay, so just having a little bit of freedom movement now. It's helpful to close your eyes. It's also helpful that you're kind of in your own space. So we started with that flexion and extension, but it might be that you want to go off to one side. So maybe you feel like you want to bring some movement in a slightly different angle. Maybe if you're doing this from a seated option, it's more movement around your arms and your shoulders. But if you're on the ground, you can bring that movement as much as you like. Maybe you're rocking the bum back towards the heels. Maybe there's some twisting going on. So just moving into wherever you feel a little bit maybe compact, maybe a little bit stuck. And it might just be kind of reflective of what you've been doing with your week, or just noticing how that feels. Moving freely. And then we're going to come back through a neutral position. Okay. So as you come back to your position of tabletop, if you're on the ground or if you are standing, we're then going to come into a slightly different variation of thread the needle. So we're going to come into gate pose with our legs. So if you're standing and resting onto the chair, it will look slightly different, but we're going to take that left leg out to the side. So we're really feeling the weight in the right leg if you're standing, and the left leg feels a little lighter as you extend it out. And then if you're on the ground, we've still got that left leg out to the side, got the right knee onto the ground. Okay, so now starting to lift your left elbow up, maybe your left hand reaches, and then taking a bend in the elbow as you lower that arm underneath the right. Breathing in as you unfurl and open, breathing out as you lower and reach. Okay, so just notice where your awareness is. Notice how this feels in your shoulders, an awareness of the whole of your body, your torso as it rotates. And again, just kind of highlighting that misconception that the different options are always easier, because they're not. This standing option is actually a lot harder, more challenging for me physically than it is to do it on the ground. Okay, so we're going to take a couple more of those. Bringing your awareness back into the movement of your body. And then when you bring your hand back up, you're going to rest it back into that tabletop position. Bringing your left leg in. And then switching that over to the other side. So now your right foot is going out to the side. Feeling the weight shift over to the left as you start to lift that right arm up, and then threading it underneath the left, reaching it through. Really connecting to how when you breathe in and you feel the air starting to fill your chest down to your abdomen, it works with this opening and unfurling of your arm. And as you breathe out and there's less space in the body, it allows you then to move through the rotation. Okay, I'll just take a couple more on that side, really being in the movement of your body, your shoulders, where you feel the stability of the parts of you that are resting onto the ground. And then the next time that you lift your arm up, we're going to land back to that tabletop position. And then coming into child's pose if you're on the ground. So taking your bum back towards your heels. Maybe taking your knees wider. Having your arms however feels good for you. So maybe your arms are out straight. Maybe you prefer to rest your head onto your hands. And as we take a pause here, just feeling the breath moving up to the back of your body. If you're in your chair, we're going to slide your hands down. And really feeling the rise of the breath up to the back of your lungs. And then very slowly starting to lift yourself back to an upright position. And making your way into your final position of rest. So if you're on the ground, maybe having your legs out straight, maybe keeping a bend in your knees, And if you're on the chair, we're going to come to use the back of your chair to support you, just as we did to begin. And maybe taking another sigh, maybe closing your eyes, softening into the muscles around your eyes and your face, gently releasing your jaw, becoming aware of the weight of your body. For these first few exhalations, seeing if you can kind of work with that releasing feeling as the breath lowers. Can you encourage more softening in your body physically? And you may wish to have your hands resting on the ground or with your palms facing up. And as you watch your breath, in the same way, watching over any thoughts or any distractions that might become present, start to bring your awareness to your left hand. And as you breathe in, draw that breath up your arm, breathing out as you arrive at your center. Breathing in as you alternate to the right hand, drawing it up, breathing out as you arrive at your center. And we're just going to repeat that a few more times, allowing this visualization of watching your breath, drawing up your arm and arriving at your center to remain as a focus for your mind. So just starting now to make those in-breaths slightly deeper and your out-breaths slightly longer. As you bring some movement into your body. And if you're on the ground, just take your time to come over to the right side. Slowly encouraging yourself to an upright position. Lowering your chin towards your chest. Taking this final moment to give thanks to the teachers who've practiced before us, allowing us to benefit from the practice today. And thank you to yourselves for giving yourself this time. So blinking the eyes open if they're closed, and thank you very much. So if you have any questions at all, please feel free to send me a message.